Hello to yet another log. I'm going to share some of my recent out of body experiences that probably was triggered after practicing a lot of meditation with gateway tapes and also affirmation exercises or repeating affirmations during my meditation exercises. So this was on 10th June that I listened and did the meditation exercise with Gateway Wave 1's Focus 10, and I had an that I edited, adding two different Focus 10 audios, Introduction to Focus 10 and Advanced Focus 10, and I made it an hour long. And this audio has long induction. The induction part of both of the audios are added in a long sequence so that it relaxes me more. And after the exercise, I fell asleep. And since I had my AirPods on my ears and also the eye covering, the eye blinders, which I found to be very helpful because it wakes me up. It's not so comfortable to sleep with the AirPods on. So after a few hours, I just wake up to get this out and take my blinders off. And by that time, it's not totally dark, but it's fairly tolerable. Otherwise, these days, what we call here in Estonia, it's just white nights. So it's all the time, just light all the time. Anyways, after I woke up, I went to bathroom and came back and read about two chapters of Robert Peterson's book on astral projection. And first I slept on my left side. Then after some point, maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I slept on the right side, on my right. Then a few moments later, maybe another 20 minutes or so, I started to feel ear pulsations around both of my ears. And this time I was able to notice what is actually happening in these pulsations. And it was sudden increase of volume of general hearing, whatever sound I was hearing. For a moment, fraction of a second, the sound would increase in volume, then go back to being normal. Then after a few seconds, it would do the same. And it kept on doing that. And in one of my previous out of body experiences, which was converted from a dream, also called, taught me how to use a device which is just in the hand. And the device would work in a way that if I started having any precursors, symptoms of an out of body experience, then I'd just have to raise my thumb over the finger, and that would increase the rate of pulsations. And if I reduced that, it would reduce the rate of pulsations, or let's say the intensity of the pulsation. So the way my guide taught me was whenever there is a pulsation and I want to increase it, I just do that. But he didn't say it, he did it on my hand, using my hand. That's what I think happened, because by myself I would not have learned that. So I did that and it increased and it was too much. So I brought it back down up to here and it was tolerable for me. So in this experience of 10th June, I increased it with my with this fader device. That's what I'm calling it in my journal entries. So I increased the intensity and I noticed that I was not doing that in my physical hands. I didn't feel like a physical hand. Then I rolled towards my left and got out of my body. And as I got out of my body, I found it a bit difficult to open both of my eyes. And I later figured out why. Because I was sleeping in a position that my eye was on the pillow. And that side of the eye in my astral body or second body, I couldn't open. Only the eye that was not touched by the pillow, I could open. And it was not very easy to open the eye and see. So it was something like that. And I really had to put pressure to open my eyes. And I just gave up on that and let my eyes just be closed. Then I was starting to sense with my mind's eye. At first it was dark. I did not remember at that moment to call clarity now. It was just dark, but I could sense everything wherever I was moving. At the same time, I just looked around my apartment and I felt a presence of my guide, but I somehow didn't want to see, because usually two of my guides, whenever I called them and I saw them, and in one of my previous experiences, when one of them did something around my Manipur chakra, they are shadow beings, or they appear shadow. Maybe because of the limitations of my experience, they appear shadow to me, and that gives me a little bit of fear. Probably they know that I may be afraid when I see them in shadow appearance, and they were just there, but I could not see them. I could feel that they are there. And I just thought of going out, so I opened the window. I don't know why I opened the window, but I did open the window and I jumped out. And I was floating after that. And first, I started to go towards the east direction from my apartment. And it was almost on the level of the road, already on the ground. And I felt I was almost walking, and it felt really slow. So I decided to just at that moment go towards the west direction and towards my university. What happened was I started to float a little higher from where I was, and that allowed me to move faster. I made one of the what I think is an appearance of one of my old friends, and I approached this friend, and I waved and I said hi, and I got a reply, and I asked, "Can you see me?" And my friend replied, "No, I can't see you, but I can see there is some glow around the heart." And there was a particular mention about heart. So my heart and the some sort of glow around it was perceived, and which I have not yet seen myself. This is the second time somebody out of my body mentioning about certain glow, which I had not yet seen, and this changes soon in my yesterday's or last night's experience. But anyways, after that, I waved bye, and then I moved further towards west, and I was floating and moving. I saw four of my friends walking outside of the university, and this was 2 a.m. in the night. And I recognized two of them. There were four of them that I saw, but I immediately recognized two of them. And as I recognized them, I was immediately back in my body. So I woke up, and then I wrote one of them a message, and I asked, "Did you guys just leave from school?" And since we are in a film school, and people just work here, the studios are open 24 hours. And indeed, she replied, "Yes, we just got out, and we're just walking. I just took a taxi now." That was a confirmation, because just before that, I had seen them walking, and I couldn't have known that they just had gotten out and were going home. And this was a very good confirmation. And it's the first time that I was able to confirm something in the physical reality while I was out from the physical reality. And this was 10th June. After a few days after that, I was still having these precursors of an OBE, but I couldn't or didn't get out. I just fall asleep. And also, there were many different things going on in the university, so I was occupied with that throughout the day, and going through different assignments and consultations. So I'd say probably my body needed rest, and I didn't get out. That's what I like to think when I don't get out, even though I try and do the attempts. And last night I slept after doing the pulsation exercise that resembles the movement of wind-like pulsations from left ear to right ear, and it keeps on moving like that. In one of the precursors, symptoms or signs of an OB, I heard this kind of whooshes of the wind, but that was not left right, but it was just on both ears at the same time. And I got a technique from Robert Peterson's book about the swaying motions. So as I lie down listening to this audio, I was also trying to have a kinesthetic movement of swaying from left to right and left to right, like that, on a 2 hertz frequency. So 2 cycles per second, it would just keep on moving like that. So I was just following this sound of movement, and I fell asleep doing that. After some point, then I had to wake up because the discomfort using AirPods while sleeping. Took them off, went to bathroom, came back and read a few chapters from, I think, Sylvan Muldoon's book. And the name of the book is The Projection of the Astral Body. So I read a few pages of the first chapter from this book, and as I felt sleepy, I went back to sleep. And that was around, I guess, 2 a.m. I did try the same method again. I slept on my left, and that would allow me enough time to have my body relaxed so that when I moved to the other side, I would remember this movement and try some attempts. So after some point, I turned towards my right side and started repeating the affirmation, out of body now. And I was in the in between states of completely waking and going or drifting into falling asleep. Then it felt not so comfortable sleeping on my right, so I changed the position to sleeping on my belly. Then I fell asleep. At some point, something interesting happened. I thought I changed the position to moving on my back with my hand above my head and my right hand down next to my leg. I thought I did that, and I felt the movement. I moved. Then I moved again. I realized I had not moved the first time, so that particular movement was the non physical body moving and changing position. This was immediately noticeable, and as I noticed that, I thought I could get out. So I tried to get out, and I was able to just get out of the body. And again, this time I couldn't open my eyes completely. I looked around the room. It was dark everywhere. I couldn't move, and there were blockages around the room. I don't understand why there were blockages. Probably there are still some blockages to clear in within my own being. I thought of those blockages as the blockages that I have. So that got me back to my body, and I attempted again. Again, got out. Again, everything is black. Then I thought I'd try moving through the walls, and I was pressing my hand on the wall. It couldn't pass through, but it was very soft. It's not soft in the physical counterpart. And I got back in again to my body again. Then I made another attempt in which I got out, and I didn't care if I didn't see. So immediately the vision changed from seeing, as if seeing from the physical eye, to seeing from the mental eye. And I'm borrowing this term mental eye from Robert Peterson's book. So as I was perceiving through this mental eye, then I thought I will now get out of the window and jump and then see how it goes. So I opened the window. I couldn't hear any sound of opening the window, but I was hearing sound of me walking on the floor. That was pretty strange for me, that I didn't hear the sound of opening the window. And I was expecting the cold wind as I opened the window, but it was no different. There was no change of the temperature, let's say, or perceiving of the change of the temperature was not present. So I got out and jumped, and everything went completely dark, and I was back in my body again. Then I tried to get out again. I got out, and this time I said, I want to see my guides. I will open this door and I will see my guides. I opened the door, blackness, nothing, and I closed. In my previous experience, when that happened, I closed the door because I didn't see anybody there. I was immediately back in my bed, into my body. Then my guide actually woke me up gently. But this time, that didn't happen either. And I thought, let's try to move around and see what happens. So I was moving around and trying to palpate some things. It didn't seem to work so much on the clarity because there were still these obstacles were still there present, and the obstacle was the cloth hanger, a cloth hanger for drying clothes for some reason. So I just navigated through this, and immediately I got back into the body. And while I was doing all this, I was also remember those experiences being out of the body. And I had in my mind I should get up and then start recording this on my phone, otherwise I'll forget. But also on the back of my head, I wanted to make more attempts and check more or try more different things. Then something really nice happened. I got out the window, went down and saw 4 people talking. I was hovering. I asked them some things. Hi, hey, do you see me? Can you see me? and they did see me. One of them or two of them see me. And as they said they can see, I got back into my body again. So nothing had worked so far, and meeting these four people was still almost in the dreamlike state because things were not as clear as I wanted it to be. I couldn't perceive things very clearly. Then I'd gotten back and I was on my bed. I knew I could get out, but since all of the experiences so far had been very in a dark space, I couldn't see clearly, and there was not much going on, not much learning or anything. Probably the lessons were very short, and it was a learning. The whole thing may have been a process of learning, but nothing significant for me was going on in the experience. So I just thought of getting out by doing a somersault. And I realized I could not get out because there was a blocking in my head. Lower parts of my body was very flexible and was already out, but I couldn't get my head part out. Then I lie down there trying a few times to do the somersault. I couldn't get out. Then I just lay there on the bed and suddenly started to feel that I'm starting to prolong or extend. My limbs were getting longer and longer and longer. And I said, yes, this is it. Get me out. Please get me out. Please pull me out of the body. And I didn't actually get out of the body, but just felt that the limbs were getting longer and longer. And I moved the energy of whatever energy was there through my body towards the top. It moved very fast towards the top of the head, and I could feel a certain heaviness in the head. It wasn't painful. There was some very intense movement of energy started happening, and I was trying to move this movement upwards so that I can slip out of the body from the top. I tried to do that for a few times, and I couldn't go much higher, but a little movement was felt. And suddenly there was a loud sound or feeling of the loud sound, certain kind of explosion or something. Something happened there. Then I tried to get out in a clear way, wasn't able, and I started to roll counterclockwise on the axis of my body. So I was rolling like that in my non physical body. And at some point, I rolled out completely. And this time it was very clear. Everything was very clear. There was no blockages in the room. And I immediately thought, this is it. Let's go out. I walked. I had to first open the door of my bedroom. I got out of that. So I was walking. Then I realized the apartment door was open. So I got out and started to go down the stairs, and I saw certain flashes of colors, very shiny flashes of colors on my hands, but they were pulsating in a very slow rate. It would flash, and then again at some point it would flash here. Very shiny, crystalline like lights. It was so pretty, so beautiful. And everything there was very colorful as I was going down the stairs. And then I thought of looking into my hands, but I didn't because I thought that may deviate my course of going down and out the apartment to watching the hands. So my primary goal was to go out. Also, the front door of the apartment building was open, and I went out. And I saw a woman walking her dog outside, and I went close to her, and I said hi, and she replied me back. She said hi, and I asked her, "Can you see me?" And she said, I don't see you." But the dog could, because the dog was looking at me, and she wanted to go the opposite direction of where I was, but the dog came towards me. And I don't remember clearly what the dog was saying, but it was saying something to me. I had a little bit of fear in me because the dog was almost like following me. I wasn't running, so the dog wasn't running either, but was definitely following me. I moved a little further back, but it kept on following me. Then I thought, okay, what do you represent? Why are you following me? And the dog did say something that I don't remember exactly what the dog said. Then it stopped following. And I was moving away from that scene and saw a few more people walking, and I waved hi, but they didn't see me at all. I went to the cross section of the street and stopped there, and then I got back into my body immediately. And this time, since I did achieve to get out in a very clear sense and knowing and seeing everything very clearly, and I could still feel the vibrations gradually going away from my body. It was very soothing vibration. It wasn't anything very sharp or distracting or loud. It was very soothing, calm vibrations. Then I took my phone and started recording my experience to journal. But this has been the recent experiences, and I will keep on making notes, writing journals, and I will see you in the next log. Have a nice day, evening, night, weekend, weekdays, wherever you are.